Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ruth Farms. My name is Luke. It's Sunday, August the 10th, and today's video, I'm going to take you guys around. I want to do some crop updates. I want to show you our corn and our soybeans, and then we're also going to take you back a little bit through the past month, a couple projects we've been on, stuff that I haven't really made a full video on, but just some stuff to kind of get you guys up to date as we are getting closer to our fall harvest starting here. So let's get going and let's go show you some corn. So welcome to the cornfield, guys. Here behind me we have a decab hybrid. This is a 118-day variety. It's a decab 6835. We planted this around May 1st. Somewhere in that window. Corn has looked really good all year. We have had a couple of spells of really high heat, and we got a little bit dry, and so we have kind of flared off some leaves and stuff, and I did not do a good job at getting a fungicide put on my corn, which I really wish I would have with the potential yield that we have on this crop. But my neighbor that I was hoping to get to put out my fungicide, they didn't get around to it for whatever reason. So next year I'm going to really be more pushy. I'm going to find somebody to do it next year, because I've never put a fungicide out, but I really kind of wish I would have this year. Let's get out here, let's pull an ear and show you guys. So before we get out here and we pull an actual ear, I wanted to kind of go through my thought process planting this crop, kind of some of our logistics on our side, being a small family farm. This year we have around 70 to 75 acres of corn, and then we have around 120 to 125 acres of soybeans. About 60 or 70 of those soybeans I think are full season, and then the rest are double crop. So starting right about here, we have our first planted corn. There was this which is between about 15 and 18 acres. This is the decab 6835, and from here over, this was planted about a month later. Just judging by the plants, you really probably can't tell a whole lot of a difference at this point in time. But this was planted earlier. This is a higher date maturity, 118 days. From here over, I think it was 18 rows, we have an NK hybrid. It is a 1082, which is, I think it's a 113-day hybrid. We planted it somewhere around a month after this corn, and then right down here on down, what you can see just from right here, this is also NK 1082, but there's also two other types of hybrids out there. One is a Pioneer 1289 and the other is a Revere 1307. I've got a little bit of footage from back in the about a week ago or so. I went out here, I used my John Deere Op Center app, which is basically where my John Deere auto steer that's on my John Deere 4250, it uploads to the cloud basically, and while I'm planting, I can go in there and I can actually change hybrids, and it will paint the lines of each hybrid. So I can actually go in the app and use my phone and walk out pretty much to the exact row of where I changed different hybrids. And earlier in the week, I walked out here and I went to each hybrid and I pulled a few ears, just kind of getting a general analysis, you know, of if one is way ahead of the other or whatnot. But I'll throw that here. I pulled some ears from each. This is a Revere. It's 1307 is the number. This just happened to be one of the spots where I don't have planter row shutoffs on my planter. This just happened to be one of the spots where, you know, basically where I turned the rows off, or where we didn't get planted, needless to say. I'm in a little area here, but as y'all can tell, you know, the ground's good and bare. We don't have any weeds. That's telling me that our herbicide program worked here. And obviously us standing, you know, with a gap here, these ears are going to be a little bigger than normal, but I mean, these are some honker ears on this corn, so I'm really hoping we're going to have some good yields here. I'm pretty sure we're starting to see some southern rust. I'm not real knowledgeable on corn diseases. I was really hoping I could get somebody in here to put a fungicide on this for me, but this happened, we never got in here to do it, and I was really hoping to just try it out. If nothing else, I've never put one on my corn, and it'd be nice just to see, you know, kind of what our yield advantages, and as y'all can tell, today it's a good cloudy, rainy day, so we've probably got more disease pressure than normal. But, you know, I can only do what I can do. We don't have near as many folks around here with drones and things as, you know, different parts of the country. But these stalks are really rigid still. All of our leaves in here are still holding up pretty good for the most part. And, but yeah, it's 1307 is looking pretty good. I look forward to getting in here. Pioneer 1289, Revere 1307, NK 1087 or 1082, maybe 1082. And then this is the DeKalb 6835. This was the earliest planted hybrid. This one was planted a little bit before these two, but as y'all can tell, we've got pretty daggone decent ears on all of our corn. Obviously this right through here is some new ground. This corn here is not that great, but for the most part, the rest of it is really looking pretty good. And I think this is gonna be our winter chicken dinner. I really hope we can get some real high yields out of this, but if the rest of the field's pretty good like this, then we're gonna have some good yields overall throughout this 50-acre farm here. But back to our overall game plan. So about 75 acres of corn. Last year we planted in 2 different plant dates, and our later corn averaged about, I think it was about 40 bushel different, and that was all weather. So I wanted to separate up my corn some, so that's what I did. My initial game plan was to keep it about 2 to 3 weeks on each plant date, but it got wet on us and we just didn't get that happen. So it ended up being about 4 weeks between the very first planted and the second planted, and then I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks between the second planted and the last planted. So plant date in relativity to harvest. How close are we to harvest? So the 6835, the ears I pulled here just a couple days ago, we were somewhere between half and 2/3 milk line of that corn kernel filling out. So the plant is done growing. It's already fertilized and pollinated the seeds inside the corn cobs. So all that is done. We've already determined our rows around and our length of our cobs. Right now, this corn is just filling out. It is filling that grain, and hopefully is filling it really good, I hope. But when I say milk line, what I'm referring to, as that kernel starts drying down, it dries down from the top of the kernel to the bottom of the kernel. Once it reaches its peak maturity, which is what we call black layer, that kernel is done. It's not gonna pack any more weight on, and from there on, you're about 30% moisture, and then we just dry down from 30% moisture down to, typically we try to harvest around 14 or 15% moisture, just because we don't have a grain dryer. So realistically speaking, this past week we have been cool, so the corn hasn't done a lot of maturing, it hasn't done a lot of drying, so chances are it's probably not much different than when I picked the last ear, but we will check that here in a few minutes. But realistically, we're probably looking at a month, maybe a month and a half before we're able to start shelling this corn. So we're looking at probably the end of September realistically for this corn. Now we do have another hybrid that I planted right around the same time as this DeKalb. It was an NK, it was a 9635, I believe it was. It was a 96-day corn. I had reached out to my NK rep. I wanted something a little earlier season that maybe we could get some corn out of the field early for our deer corn customers, because if you guys have been watching a while, or maybe if you're new to the channel, you don't know, we bag and sell a lot of our corn that we raise here on our farm for deer hunters. We sell a lot of it direct to consumer. We can make a lot more money that way. But in order for us to be able to sell it, we got to be able to get it out of the field. And this time of year, deer hunters like their corn, start feeding the deer, get the deer coming in and whatnot. And so we planted a really early hybrid. Well, on a normal year, that hybrid probably would have done pretty good. But this year, right around the time that corn started pollinating, we had a week of 95+ degree days, and then the nights did not cool off like it needed to ensure proper pollination. So that corn pollinated absolutely terribly. I mean, it was horrible. I'll be honest with you guys, if we can make 100 bushels to the acre on that corn, I'll be tickled to death. It is terrible. I got a few clips from that a couple of weeks ago that I took. I'll throw some of that in here somewhere just so I can kind of show y'all what it's like. but it's not going to make good corn. It's terrible. Would not recommend that hybrid at all in a climate like ours. But now our later day hybrids look pretty good up until here a couple weeks ago. We started getting a little bit dry, and we had a heat spell. As you guys can tell in here, let me walk down here a little ways. We've had quite a few leaves flare up, and we can really tell our thin areas in the field because they had pretty much burned up. But we're still going to make a lot more corn than last year. Just like down through here, you know, this is a fairly poor area of the field, and we've burned up all of our leaves up to the ear leaf. So we've definitely lost probably our maximum yield on a lot of this corn. And I've noticed a lot of tip back since then, since that hot, dry weather. But for the most part, overall, we've had a really good growing season. And I mean, we have had a lot of rain this year, way more than normal. We just got done getting 4 inches of rain this week. And so overall, we should have a really good corn crop. But I'm gonna get out here, I'm gonna pull a few ears for you. And like I said, obviously we've got some footage that I've already taken. This is about my 4th or 5th time trying to make this video. Just trying to piece it together and make it not look so boring or whatnot. A lot of times you get out here and I find a bad place in the field and it just kind of gets you down. And it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna video this today, I'll do it another day. But anyway, we're gonna get this video for you guys today so y'all can see what we got coming up, because we do have harvest coming up here in a couple weeks. We got field days coming up. We're gonna go to a few of them, some Pioneer. It's a decab field day, and I'm looking forward to all that. But let's get out here, let's pick y'all an ear. I'll let you see what we're gonna have to harvest, hopefully. So I shuck back a few ears here for you. And you guys can probably tell by the video, I mean, these are some pretty daggum good looking ears. Do have a little bit of tip back, which is kind of to be expected. This is not the greatest ground this corn's on. Planted about 29,000 population. And for the most part, the cobs that I've picked have been between 16 and 18. Have seen a few 20s, and but for the most part, they're around 20 long. And this should really make us some good yield corn. Looks good. Our grain quality is so much better than last year. Really look forward to getting in here and harvesting this. And even our stalks, you know, they're all good and strong, stout. And overall, I'm really looking forward to putting some of this through the John Deere 9500 this fall. This particular cob is around 18 around, which is our number of kernels around the cob itself. And it's around 38 to 40 long. And we can, if y'all can tell this on camera, if this will focus, our milk line is about right there. You can kind of tell where the top of the kernel is really yellow and then it turns to a white color. That's our milk line. So this particular kernel here, we're not quite halfway. I would say probably 1/3 milk, or be considered 2/3 milk line. So we still have to fill out from here down to fill out our grain and to reach physiological maturity, which is black layer. Like I said earlier, this week we have been cool. We've been in the 60s and 70s. I don't even think we've had a high of 80 this week. So we haven't had a lot of heat units to get this corn going any faster. But this week's gonna heat back up to about the 90s, so that's really gonna help progress this corn along. And then we also have, this was planted about a month behind that. This was a Pioneer 1289 ear, which y'all can tell how much smaller the ear is, just mostly because the grain hasn't filled out yet. But this is essentially the same size ear here as this one. This one hasn't filled out, obviously, quite yet. It's probably not going to fill out as good as this, just because we're getting later in the season. But this corn here, it hasn't really even started yet, so can't tell the milk line on it. But overall, you know, walking out in here, our layer corn is definitely not going to be as good as that earlier planted corn, but I still think we have some pretty dang good corn. I'm hoping for at least 150 average across everything, and that including about 15 acres on this 50-acre field that is, you know, new ground that they just cleared last year. They cleared the trees and everything off of it, and that corn looks good, but there's just not that many good ears out there. Realistically, I should have reduced my planting population from 29,000 on those acres to probably like 22 or 23,000. But, you know, I'm learning. if I had the ability to go back and change it, I would change that 23,000 to decrease that population and increase those ear sizes rather than have more ears out there, because a lot of them are a little bitty ears and may or may not be harvestable. And even if they are, they're not going to make that much yield. So live and learn. And if you ain't learning, you're not doing anything right. All right, guys, so I've showed y'all our corn, or at least part of our corn. We got a little more corn in a couple other places. But I showed you guys the majority of our corn. Looks pretty good. Here to my left, these are some full season soybeans, some Asgrow. It is a 4.9 maturity Extend Flex soybean. And then here to my right, we have an NK. It is a 5.4 Extend Flex soybean. These are our double crop beans that were behind our wheat. As you guys can probably see, our wheat straw still down there. But overall, our double crops are looking pretty darn good. They've pretty much fully canopied now, other than a few little thin spots. And I don't think these have started flowering. I've seen a few and just a few spots that have started flowering. But these Asgrows, these were planted about middle of April there. And they're looking phenomenal. Starting to load up really well with beans, or pods, I should say. Y'all can tell down through there. They're loading up pretty good. I need to be getting out here with a sweep net and just making sure we don't have too many bugs. But like that spider right there, that'll help us keep some of them bugs out. We are starting to get a little frog eye here and there. I have not put a fungicide on these beans, simply for the fact that they're so tall. I don't think I could get out here with my sprayer. I mean, this is only like the 4th row out. And I mean, they're over waist high. And I know there's places that are nearly head high to me, because Coleman was out here in them the other week. I'll throw that picture up in here, but beans are looking really good. Afternoon, guys. It's been a long while since I've showed you any updates on our peat. It's a 1988 Peterbilt 379. We have done a lot of work. Don't really look like we've done a lot of work, but we've done a lot of work. As y'all can tell, the frame is nice and black now. We've got everything. We had some surface rust and stuff, so we took it all down to bare metal. We've got her painted good. These rails that the 5th wheel mounts to, they were pretty rusty, so we replaced them. Got all new bolts to hold the 5th wheel on. And right now, we're working on putting on some new tires here. We're replacing 6 of the 8. 2 or 3 of them had good tread, but they were starting to show some dry cracking. So instead of having blowouts while we're hauling this fall, we put new ones on. Coleman has went in here, he's put new brakes, new shoes and everything. He's put new seals, airbags, torque rods, several new hoses, shocks. We spent a pile of money and a pile of time on this thing, but she's starting to look like a truck again. It's a hot day here in North Carolina, but we got 1, 2, 3, and 4 fans rolling. And as y'all can tell, looking at my shirt, I am drenched. But we about got her back together, and then we got to pull the truck around, start on the front end. We're gonna go ahead and do the brakes and everything on it. And yeah, but hopefully we're gonna have this thing ready. We're gonna need it this fall. It looking like we're gonna have a pretty good corn crop, hopefully, if the weather holds out, and hopefully a good soybean crop. You know, we'll have to truck a lot of that off of our farm and get her sold out of the field, just because we're not gonna have the storage. So yeah, it's gonna show y'all a little bit what we've done, and here she is, looking a lot better than it did when we brought it home. Brought our Peterbilt out here, doing a little test drive since we put our new tires on it. And I've had several people asking about our double crop beans and our full season beans and our corn. And well, here's some of our full seasons. My brother's probably almost 6 foot tall, and they're up to his chest. And boy, they are looking good. And they're really starting to set on the pods and still flowering as well. Looking really good. Little beans is pretty tall compared to this Honda 4-wheeler. They're looking good though. They got a beautiful color. The bugs and the insects haven't really devoured them yet. These are some low input beans, and I hope they might get some really good yields. They are really looking good right now. This right here around the edge even looks pretty good right along the woods. So these are some of our double crop soybeans. Y'all can tell they're looking pretty good. These were planted there towards the end of June, I believe it was. Planted before July. I think these were June 30th. Here's our big old pile of chicken poop we've been working on the last few weeks. And there's the storm that's heading our way. It's going to give us some more rain, hopefully. But here they are. They're looking really good and clean. Don't see any weed pressure yet. We have already sprayed over the top of these beans. We used Liberty, and I also added Prefix into this, kind of help hold some of the weeds back. So we do have pretty good weed pressure, particularly pigweeds on this farm. As y'all can see, that really big one sitting up right there. I gotta go cut it down. I just hadn't had time yet. But they're looking pretty good, pretty healthy. I got a long ways to go. They still have not started blooming or anything yet, but if we keep getting the weather, I think we can have a good crop. As of right now, anyway. Alright guys, so we are going to wrap this video up here. Before I end everything though, I did want to announce the wheat yield guesser, the person who guessed closest to our wheat yield in the field. I put it on a short and a regular long form video. The person that came the closest in that particular field, we averaged 96.2 bushels to the acre. This person guessed 96.3, and that was Matt Bowen. So Matt, if you're watching this video, if you see this video, shoot me an email, ruthfarmsyoutube@yahoo.com, and once I get your information as far as your address and all that stuff, where you want me to send that to, I will give that to my people, farmmerchbin.com. And I also need to know what color hat you want. Go on farmmerchbin.com website and look at Ruth Farms. You can look through our hats, pick you out a hat you want. Let me know which one it is in the email with your address and all your contact information and stuff. And I will have them send it to you free of charge. And for anybody else who's watching, if you are interested in some Ruth Farms merch, visit farmmerchbin.com. They have our merch. They have Matt Griggs' merch, Dylan Joyce's merch, Eric Reed, all your major small-time YouTube farmers. All of us are on there. But if y'all will, if you want to support us that way, if not, give us a like, subscribe, and if you got any questions or comments, let them down in the comment section. Thank you guys.